to the Pedalshift Holiday Spectacular. Tonight, we have a special treat for you. You know, I don't think I have shared how I sometimes spend my holidays. You know, it's a season of celebration, family, of course, but also a time of giving. As a longtime podcaster, I always like to visit the retired podcaster's home every holiday season and spend some quality time with folks who are in their post-podcasting golden years. Hey, why don't you all come with me this time? I'm sure the retired podcasters would love to see you. Folks, what an amazing, awesome surprise over there by the fireplace. I haven't seen these guys in a long time. Retired Sprocket podcasters Brock Dittus and Aaron Flores. It's a holiday miracle. Let's see what they're up to.
So the guy says, that's not a chain ring.
Yes.
You probably heard that one before.
Yeah, but it's funny every time.
Well, you know, some things just don't get old. Oh, is that Tim Mooney?
Holy shit.
Trademark. Tim Mooney, what brings you to our humble abode?
Yeah, we've been reminiscing about the good old podcasting days. I've got my retirement pick in my mouth.
You do have a retirement pick in your mouth. You know what, Aaron? I also noticed that you and Brock are wearing your official Pedalshift 5 Timers Club sweaters. It's a nice look for you.
I especially like the number 5.
Absolutely. It looks good on your vest as well.
Well, you actually appeared far more than 5 times. So, you know, but it's too expensive to make brand new sweaters for every single subsequent visit. So 5 Timers it is. Plus, we stole it from Saturday Night Live.
They stole it from us in the past, like in reverse.
Like they took a time machine and came to the future and stole it and brought it back to the past. And then there was this time loop. Yeah, I'm sure that's how it happened.
Exactly.
Yeah, I miss the days when we would turn the crank and fire up the old podcasting machines, and it's just not the same as it used to be. These days, kids walk around with microphones in their pockets. I don't know how they do it.
These kids these days with their pocket microphones and their TikTok
and YouTube. What's up with that?
Years ago, we would actually walk into an establishment on Southeast Division and 12th and barter for credit in alcoholic beverages, and we would talk for 2 hours at a time in order for that privilege of being advertised. And now these days, these kids, 5 minutes, they own the world.
They just give you a Casper mattress for free now.
Oh man, I could use one of those, by the way.
We had to read copy for our beers.
And talk about sticks on the ceiling. And it's not even at the corner of Southeast Division and 12th anymore. What's happening these days?
Southeast 11th and Carruthers doesn't have the same ring, but it's still fun to say.
I think that it's always going to be on the corner of Southeast Division and 12th to me. Except when you actually want to go there, in which case you'll be a block away.
You won't be as jolly, exactly.
Hey, wait a second. Is that who I think it is?
Dude, look who's here for a festive adventure.
Shifty, you must be visiting. You'll never be retired from the Pedalshift Holiday Spectacular.
Come on, everybody, we're going on a pedal-powered sleigh ride.
This is incredible, Shifty. Who knew retirement could be so adventurous?
Oh, damn, life doesn't stop after podcasting. It just takes a different route.
And sometimes that route involves pedal-powered sleighs and magical elves.
Dude, let's get back inside. Outside sucks.
Very shifty line. I feel like that's exactly what I expected you to say.
Okay, now that we're back inside by the fire here at the old podcaster's retirement home, we thought we would actually sit down, enjoy the fire, and hear the wind whistling in the background here, and maybe just catch up a little bit here after that wonderful sleigh ride. Thank you, Shifty.
Dude!
So, guys.
You remember when Podbean was a thing?
Podbean was a thing. I think it might still be. I went to a conference this summer, which was really eye-opening as an old-timey podcaster myself back in the day of like vacuum tubes and switches and stuff like that.
Wait.
And Adam Curry's.
Hold on. They have conferences now?
Oh my goodness, yes. This was called Podcast Movement, which sounds dirty to be honest. But yeah, it was in Denver. And
I don't tell people about my involvement with that.
exactly, right? Yeah, it was in Denver. And of course, it's a lot of people trying to sell a lot of things to each other. And if you're there not really doing that, it's a little bit weird. But there were a bunch of people who were talking techie stuff, which I got into. And then I ran into a guy who's wearing a Syracuse University shirt. And I'm just sitting there going, well, I gotta go up to this guy, right? And so I'm like, hey, go Orange. And then we had this whole discussion about the whole thing. And I did tell him that this podcast is basically a Syracuse University sports podcast that occasionally talks about bikes.
And you're not wrong. I mean, you pay homage often
and frequently even. So yeah. But anyways,
yes,
everybody has heard
genuinely.
the show that is listening to this show, but they haven't heard from you guys in a minute, except for you, Brock, and you did an entire episode this year. But so maybe we'll go with you second. Aaron, what have you been up to, man?
Oh man, what haven't I been up to? So, man, where do I start?
Yeah, seriously.
Actually,
You ride any bikes?
Well, I'll start with the big news. Since settling down, retiring out of podcasting, got married. Yeah,
It's a secret, isn't it?
It's been a secret, and
I mean,
then
not
the
anymore.
secret got out, and
And this person has appeared on the Pedalshift Project podcast before as well.
Yes, I've learned that my partner, who I still use the term partner, sometimes occasionally wife, but yeah, I've learned she's bad at keeping secrets.
Well, I think we probably learned that from episode, was it 212 or 216? I forget now.
Are you talking about like her first appearance?
Her first episode, her first appearance on the Sprocket podcast. You can tell.
204, I thought.
Okay, yeah. There was love in the air.
It was kind of obvious for the savvy listener. And if you go back, like knowing the history
Yeah.
or knowing the future, you'd go back to history, you would see like, oh yeah, it's pretty obvious. Yeah, and is now working for a nationally recognized airline. I'm not going to say what it is.
But if you fly them a lot, you're an MVP.
Yes.
There's your hint
And
around.
they may have also just bought another airline recently. And I've been doing a lot of plane traveling. And that's been pretty cool.
The jet set.
Has this travel involved have you brought a bike along? Because hypothetically, that airline's pretty good for flying with bikes.
It is pretty good for that. And I have not brought the Brompton along yet. But I did. Oh, gosh. I forgot this adventure I had in Montana with my brother, Tito, who's been on our podcast at least once.
Yeah, talking about Montana adventures.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We talked about that episode. That was actually an episode of the Sprocket podcast post-retirement, I want to say. Maybe not.
I forget now.
Bro,
It's
I
been a
can't
while.
remember. Yeah. No.
All I know, there's
Anyways.
a big hill,
Awesome.
and you got there really late, and you didn't have water or something. Which sounds like every bicycle adventure in Montana.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, it doesn't narrow it down that much. Especially in Montana.
Adventure I have. But that was like the first time I flew with the disc trucker. And that was really cool and totally prepared to do that anytime now.
Yeah, flying with a big bike is nice. I will say the Brompton is easy, but then when you get to your destination, especially if you didn't have to take it fully apart, having a big bike at the end, it's just sort of like, cheat code.
Yeah, exactly. All apologies. I've been to DC a couple of times.
What?
Always just like a quick there and back. But I'm quite impressed with their bike shares.
Bike share is good.
They're like, they're all over the place.
They're very easy. You're never very far from one. They've done a good job with the equity balance on that and getting bike shares into neighborhoods across the board, not just swanky neighborhoods, which is great. And I think that makes a big difference. They've also electrified a lot of them. So there's a bunch of e-bikes involved. I've seen a bunch of different bike shares in a bunch of different places around the world. And I would put DC up there with just about any of them.
It's not just in DC proper either. Like it's in is it as far as Alexandria?
I believe you can get them as far down there. Of course, it also goes into Maryland as well. So it's the full DMV, as we like to say. Yeah. And that's really fantastic. And the breadth is really good. And what's really interesting is, of course, what is it? You get a half hour or 45 minutes with the initial rental, but you can really do some interesting things. And I've thought about doing it as a stunt at some point of kind of how much can I cover? How far can I go on the outer edges of this coverage area in that little time frame where I get a day pass and I'm docking and moving and seeing how that goes? Because that could be an interesting or horrifically awful thing, depending if I do it in the summer.
Yeah. Been still driving bus for a living. That's been most of my life. Moved on from route driver to radio operator to now dispatcher.
What does it mean to be a dispatcher? I mean, I have a sense, but like, what is your bumper sticker description of that?
Well, so what I liked about radio was it solves all the problems in real time, right? Dispatching tries to predict those problems and solve them before they happen.
So are you a route planner in a sense too? Do you do that? Handle deviations and other things that people who understand transit know?
Less about route planning and more about like route merging, which I guess is just a different type of route planning. Like, oh, this route or this run on this route is going to be uncovered, but I know I can get this driver to this school on time to be able to make that run as well.
Would you say, Aaron, I'm just thinking maybe it's like the initial routes are generated by software, but when you merge a route, that's all human brain.
It is all human brain. It takes two human brains, actually.
No artificial intelligence on that.
You got your science.
Not yet.
And then you got your art. And it's the merge of those two that is Aaron Flores.
There you go.
That really is true.
I have discovered I think it's a popular YouTube site called City Nerd, and I feel like that is the ultimate YouTube version of what Sprocket was, where the guy talks about urbanism and whatnot. And I think he was born in Seattle, so there's lots of Northwest references throughout all of it. But I always feel like it was just sort of like, wait a second, that guy got in on your bag.
That's all right.
It's good. You should check it out. All right, Brock, we know that you do bike tours involving jalapenos in recent years because
that's right.
You were
the only if they're battered and stuffed in cream cheese,
which is the perfect bike touring food, as we talked about on that episode.
Which really is the biggest reason I live in the retirement podcaster home now. Like that's what got me here.
That's what got you there. No over reliance on jalapenos and fried things in foil packages.
Right. Yeah, I can't go anywhere without them now. So the kitchen here just serves them up 24 hours a day.
That's why you got to get in on the retired podcaster's home. The eats. That's all I have to say.
It's a decent deal. It makes up for the other deficiencies, I think.
Well, now that you are a retired emeritus status on Sprocket Podcast, which we should also note for the record, still is going on. It
lives.
Right before we recorded this, within a few weeks, they dropped their first episode in about a year. So the Sprocket Podcast continues. Folks, check it out, please. But now that you are in the emeritus retired part of your Sprocket Podcast life, what's been going on?
Well, let's see. Everybody knows I love music, and one of the newest developments is Jonathan Moz and I were chatting when I was last in DC. Actually, good things happen when you go to DC.
Indeed.
I was there, and he was like, "Hey, what do you think about? Could you recommend any podcast music? I need like a new theme song for the podcast." Because Bike Portland podcast it's alive and well and doing great things. He just started this conversational aspect of it where he and Eva from Clever Cycles chat in the shed, and it's relaxed, it's fun. But his theme music was super serious. It sounded like a hard hitting journalism, and they're going for something light. And so he said, "Hey, where could I find some music?" And I said, "There's a couple of cool bands. Like you could ask them for permission, but I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for or not. But then I know how to make some music, and I could probably throw something together for you." So I wrote a song that is 25 seconds long or something, and it's catchy and snappy, if I do say so myself, and it's the new theme music for the Bike Portland podcast. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, that's probably the biggest Portland bike-related news in my life, because I don't live in Portland anymore. And honestly, I don't bike that much. I mean, I think I did bike this morning into my work, because most times I work remotely these days. And my son brings his bike into the house, and it's always somewhere. But I don't ride my own bike in my own house. That's absurd. So I got to find reasons and motivation, I think, sometimes, because like there's not that many reasons that I leave the house in the winter these days. I'm probably drawing ire from everybody, because there are people who do, and they're like, yeah, just shut up about it, Brock. But I do appreciate like a good outdoors, especially like when it's crisp, not too cold, a little sunny. Like a winter ride with the boys is a fun time. So we do that from time to time. Get out, and my dad came down and visited me for Thanksgiving down in Salem, where I live, this past month, and I convinced him to get on my bike, and I got on the cargo bike with the boys, and we biked out to a carousel, which Salem has. It's a fantastic Oregon themed carousel. The boys love it. My boys are 3 and 5, and so they love nothing more than a good carousel ride after they've perused the offerings of the gift shop, which they're never allowed to buy. And yeah, we rode out there on bikes, and so I was able to get my dad on a bike, and that was a reason to go out. So
that's pretty great.
But,
I love it. And now I think you're biking more like how normal people bike, unlike how you used to, where it was sort of like, moon, whatever. Oh, I can bike in the snow. I'll just put zip ties on my tires, stuff like
that's
that.
Right.
I feel like you're like
we did that.
You did do that, both of you. I think you talked about it extensively too. I think
Aaron did. Yeah, I never had a bike with disc brakes back in the day, and so I always needed, I had to reserve rim access. But Aaron, you've done that. I know you've done it.
Yeah.
And you've done it well.
I actually went full on studded tire this last winter.
Ooh, sold out. Huh?
Put studs on. He sold out. Put studs on the front tire.
See, I did it.
It seems like a good idea.
I unhooked my rear brake, my rear rim brake, put the zip ties on that, and just used my front brake.
There you go.
Not recommended.
Well, that's
not recommended.
It's like mountain biking. You rely mostly on your front brake, right? Isn't that?
I found that I relied mostly on the ground when I fell over a lot.
That'll stop you.
It did stop me, in fact.
Yeah.
I have a good Oregon story for you guys, since you guys we're talking about retirement stories. I flew to the land of sunshine and bunnies, Portland, Oregon, this weekend to celebrate my brother's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And I fly this flight out almost every year. It's a particular weekend in December. I always fly out on a Thursday. Turns out that many elected officials from the state of Oregon fly that flight every year, because nobody works Fridays in D.C. if you're an elected official. It's just how it works. You go back home to your district and whatnot. So every year, I end up having, I am in the same plane going out to Portland with at least some members of the Portland delegation on this edition of Flight 9. I won't say it, because that might, well, anyways. But if you fly it, you're an MVP. Let me just put it that way. I was in the exit row because I was able to get an exit row, aisle exit row. My aisle exit row bro on the other side, Senator Ron Wyden. And
no way.
The other thing that I know about Senator Ron Wyden, and I probably shouldn't say this because, it's a secret. But anyways, I'm going to anyways, because it's happened year after year, 3rd year in a row. What is the most baller thing you can do at PDX Airport if you would like to be picked up by a friend or a loved one? Go down to the ground level where you're supposed to go, the arrivals level? Hell no. You get picked up in departures for that nighttime flight. Well, it turns out me and Ron Wyden have had the same idea the last 3 consecutive years. And I get out there and he's pulling away with somebody else. And I'm like, of course, that's just what he does. And long time ago, Brock, you had asked, I think, who would you like, what, if we could get anyone to be on the Sprocket podcast, who would you like it to be? And I didn't even hesitate for a second. I said, Earl Blumenauer. Earl Blumenauer was also on this flight. And Earl, God bless him, he's an older gentleman ready for the retired podcasters Hall of Fame like us. Was walking up and down the aisle with both arms extended. You've seen this guy, maybe not him in particular, but with his arms up, holding himself along the upper level baggage
Yes.
area, walking up and down the aisle as like a mid-flight exercise. Earl Blumenauer, everybody, one of the great transportation advocates of all time. So yeah,
That's how you stay limber.
it is. And Merkley was not on this flight. Merkley was on last year's flight, but I traded
Okay.
Merkley for
So-
Blumenauer in this one.
I've got a Earl Blumenauer airplane story.
And for folks who don't know any of the people that we're talking about, I will say before Aaron goes into Earl Blumenauer, arguably one of the most important members of Congress around bicycle advocacy, I think, in the history of our astute country's main legislative body. Yeah, really, really important character in all
Easily.
of this. Has been a member of some of the transportation committees and stuff like that. Very, very important guy. Funny. I always liked Earl, and he's retiring after this Congress, so he's about ready to join us in the retirement home. Okay. Anyways, I just want to give that context there, Aaron.
He kind of made a name for himself as like the bike senator, and I've always wondered, like, is that just because he's from like the Portland area, or does like every state have their version of Earl?
Not
Anyway,
as
regardless.
Earl
How many
as
Earls are out there?
We'll just put that.
Yeah. So I didn't know I was on the flight with this person, but it was a flight to DC. Earl and someone else, might have been Ron.
Mover and shaker.
Senator Ron
Yeah.
Wyden, senior senator, exit row
one of-
with.
One of them was sitting in coach because they gave up their first class seat to their wife. So that was cool.
Very.
Yep.
So kudos to them.
Stand up move.
Yeah. But anyways, Earl came back to the back to use the coach lab and did not have his particular trademark bow tie.
Oh.
He was not
That's
on
a
this flight either.
surprise.
Yeah.
On this flight, so I was on this flight as a passenger. Anna was actually working this flight, and he came back and said hi. I'm just like, thanks. And I just happened to be standing back there at the time, and Anna did one of these where she gestured to the bow
Nice.
tie, or the absent bow tie, and he just shrugged. He's like, "It's the weekend."
I love it.
That is true. I am a little disillusioned. Like he just does it for style. I thought it was like integral to him as a person.
I feel like
If he doesn't wear a bow tie, what else doesn't he
I
do?
mean we don't
I imagine it's
need to wear
It's like,
ties
you
all
know-
the time, right?
But we do.
right.
You're like, but
As
that's
you
how
can
I
see,
know
I'm
him.
wearing
How would I
one
know?
right now. It's the dress code
it's like
podcast or
it's
something.
like the Iron Man suit.
Oh, that's true. It's like where he derives his superpowers.
He
from.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't get his superpowers until he puts the tie on.
Well, all of this good Oregon stuff, I feel like I've been soaking in it for the last like 72 hours or so, and I'm still drinking my Portland beers as I showed you guys before we started recording here. I'm drinking a Freem out of Hood River, Oregon. It's this beautiful blue can, and it looks like, I think it's supposed to be a lion, but it really looks like a circus bear on there. Maybe check out the show notes. Do I remember to put it in? Maybe. We'll see. Otherwise, just Google it or something. And it's Freem with a P, which of course probably makes no sense to anybody, but I'm going to make you look it up. Any other kind of fun things that have been occupying your guys' time?
Yes, I'm gonna go get it.
Oh. Sadly, this is an audio medium. And Aaron's going to get
I'm
something
gonna
to
just
show
describe
us,
what it
but I
is.
will
These
endeavor
are-
to try
these
to
are remote-
describe it here.
These are remote headphones. I could keep talking as I
Oh, that's a good
as
point.
I go get this thing.
Yeah.
I've gotten into baked meat and making my own.
Making your own fake meat.
Making your own fake meat.
Yeah, and this right here is. It doesn't look really good on camera. It looks
potato?
much better in person.
Is that a potato? Is that a large
is.
russet?
It is. Can't find it anywhere else on the market, so I had to make it myself. Baked corned beef,
Fake corned beef. Oh,
and it is delicious.
I'm game for that. I would next time I'm in Portland, I may have to come and enjoy some of the fake corned beef.
Hit me up. I'll make you a semi-vegan Reuben.
I will tell you.
This is something that all three of us are into. Yeah.
I am a mostly vegetarian person with occasional kind of slippages into eating meat. But the one thing that like every year, your St. Patty's Day, that's a tough go for me because I'm like, I do like the corned beef. But apparently now I don't have to feel bad about it.
I'll send you my whole process. I'm doing it, and you can have the fun yourself if you want.
See,
It is pretty much a day.
it's a full day endeavor,
takes-
but worth it.
It takes a day. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like wait time.
I'll be honest. If
And
I
a
was
lot of,
making the
you know,
meat
like-
version of it, I would think it would at least take me a day.
That's true. Yeah, you slow roast like a thing of beef with spices and whatnot.
I
Yeah,
was thinking I would be
good point.
raising the cow, giving it water every day.
Right.
Raising the fake cow, you mean?
I don't know. I mean, if I was making a real one.
I assume the first step is you raise a fake cow, and then you have to come to the unpleasant part, and then you have fake corned beef. But no, I mean, maybe this is a longer topic than we have time for. But what makes real corned beef corned? Is there corn involved, or is it a?
I think it's
Two main
lots of
things.
salt.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's
Peppercorn.
easy.
Yeah, peppercorn, and so it's why it's corned beef, amongst other spices, and this particular kind of salt and preservatives, which, if you had asked me at any other time, I could have made. I would have been like, "It's this."
Oh,
And
that's fine.
Now
Yeah.
the name escapes me.
So you don't
But
use
that's
that
what causes
particular
that.
salt in your your meatless version?
No, there's no point because it's a preservative, and
No point in preserving
I'll just-
what's never
forever.
needed to be preserved.
Yeah.
exactly, I'll just use the table salt.
Stick that in your pipe and
Oh.
smoke it. Corned beef industry.
That's right.
But I'll go so far as to say, like, the perfect sandwich is a Reuben.
Oh, I agree.
And
It is.
There is some good facsimilies, but there's no like real good fake corned beef out there. There, I said it.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
I've been
people.
using
I believe you.
tempeh, and tempeh
Send me
just
your
doesn't
fake
cut
corned
it.
beefs.
A
it
tempeh is
doesn't.
a different experience. A tempeh Reuben is fine. You've made me several of those, Aaron. They're good, but they're not the same as a corned beef. There's something about the kind of the crinkle folded material in the sandwich. There's a texture element there that tempeh doesn't deliver on.
Well, when
is
Aaron, you
correct.
create the fake corned beef company, I'll give you 3 reduced ad slots on the Pedalshift project to sell
Nice.
to sell your wares. At least a 10% off coupon.
To sell my seitan corned beef. Oh shit, that's the.
Up, seitan.
Well, that's the secret ingredient.
Yeah.
It's already been stolen.
Hail Satan.
Hail seitan. Also do a mean pepperoni, and I'm working into chicken as well.
Excellent.
Have you ever had just the jerky? I think is that the jerky with a Q. There's a brand of fake meat.
It's very
that
good.
does. And is
Yes.
that? I forget, Aaron. Do you like that one or not? And if so, is what you're making similar?
Yes, not quite, because
Okay.
it's not super dry.
Yeah.
They make a spicy version of jerky with that brand, and it is A+.
Yeah. I support that.
I like it.
Well,
Well, Aaron, now I have all kinds of things to buy from you. I'm totally in.
and you too can learn all about Aaron's Corned Beef Company with a QR code. Aaron's Corned Beef Company.
Yeah,
That's right.
Use
You
coupon
can see-
code Pedalshift10 for 10% off.
That's right.
I like
Tim
it.
is reading to us the QR code that I see on my screen right now, and that was well pronounced. I don't think I would have gotten there. Well done.
It's an A+, and I can't wait to hear the theme music that you will make for the ads there, Brock.
Oh yeah, I'm in. As soon as it's time, I will make a corned beef theme song, and we will sing
Oh,
it.
nice.
We will sing it
I
together.
can't
It'll
wait
sound
for
like
that.
like an old sailor's choir. It'll be a shanty.
I think it would
speaking-
have to be.
Yeah, so what else would it be? Come on. Have you ever had fake fish? I don't know if fake fish
I
exists.
have.
I feel like it has to.
It
It
Have you?
does exist.
It does
I've
exist.
not had
You
it.
can. There are interesting tuna salads that actually aren't so bad.
Okay.
I believe. I think I've had fish tacos with faux chicken. I believe
Yeah.
local/regional supermarket chain Wegmans sells fake fried fish as part of their offerings, and I've never tried it, but I should do that because I do like myself a fish taco.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I share a little bit about my vinyl history?
Please do.
Hell yeah.
Yes. I don't remember if anybody used the term vinyl countdown, but I'm sure it's been said before. I'm not funny. That's why I'm at the old podcaster's home. But I own about 650 vinyl records, thereabouts, give or take. Some I got rid of after this endeavor, but I did spend from January to August of this year spinning all of my records alphabetically by title, and maybe that's why I didn't ride bikes as much as I wanted to. But it was a fun thing to do because I really like music. I've got some really niche interests, and some of those I hadn't heard for many years. There were some records in my collection that I had never ever listened to, and some of them after listening to I immediately got rid of, and so it was a good exercise. But I spent a lot of time with my music this year, and I realized that it's a good time in life to figure out what I like. I think I'm the age of people who know what they like and stop listening to new music now, and so it's been nice to spend some time with music and to get into like. This is a hobby I've always had, more or less. Like I've been collecting records since high school, but like leaning into it this year and maybe a little bit of last, and just deciding, I guess I'm the record guy now. So if you do follow me on socials, you will see me posing with record selfies, and those are albums that mean something to me. So yeah, it's a good time.
We did do a Pedalshift episode where we did, I don't know if you guys remember this, but we did a bike touring playlist episode, which is one of still the more popular episodes of the show. So I'm curious.
Yes,
that was fun.
I'm curious, is there anything...
quite pushed the bounds of the copyright law there.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I got a takedown on YouTube eventually. It took a few years, but I did. You will not be able to find it on the tube of views, but you can at pedalshift.net/whatever episode number it was. Brock, what vinyl have you spun recently that you think would end up on that episode if we were doing a new version of it?
Oh, well, I mean, I know you like NXS, and I just spun NXS's Kick record, and so that was good. I did that immediately after listening to NXS's Switch because I needed something to cleanse the palate.
I would use that to fall asleep to. Sorry, guy. Sorry, new lead singer. You're no Michael Hutchins.
That he was not, and that was all over soon. So it was no big deal in the long term.
Speaking of new lead singer, I did find past episodes of Rockstar NXS where they found that guy, and I remembered after watching a few of them that there were at least 2 to 3 other people, including a couple of women that I would have preferred over that dude as the lead singer of NXS in subsequent years. It's just like it's crazy. It's crazy, but.
I forgot all about that. They chose this guy like as a game show,
yes,
right?
It was like a game
TV.
show. It was like an old school.
It was like a type thing,
right? A singing competition show, not unlike what we have here in 2023. But this was like 05 or 06 or something like that. Yeah, and there were some really talented folks, including there was this one like Australian guy, and you're like, well, that would be an okay thing to have another Australian guy, but they're like, nah, you're kicked out. And then there was a guy who did a killer cover of Mr. Brightside, which you would think, come on, I mean, if you can do a Mr. Brightside justice, even back then, I mean, can you imagine now? But anyways, so they picked this other guy, and then he said, never mind, we're out of here. And now they just try to sell me like reissues of things on their Instagram channel all the time.
There you go. Yeah, to tie it all back together, I did, based on my listening, there's a band I listened to in high school from DC called Goaty Hook that had a song on their record, a throwaway track that was simply The Box. And Aaron, you might remember Goaty Hook, I forget, but the song was The Box, The Box. This one's called The Box. They sing that a couple times, and they end it by saying, Food Lion. And I had never been to a Food Lion, but I had heard about it years ago because I owned this record. And so when I was last in DC, right before I dropped in on Tim and the dogs, I was able to, I took the subway and I took bike share to the Food Lion. And let me tell you, if you can take bike share to a Food Lion, that means DC is doing it right, because none of them are in the city. They're all out in other states. I started my day in Oregon. I landed in D.C., I went to my hotel in Virginia, and then I went to Maryland to get to a Food Lion. So all that to say, I've checked one of the things off the list. Tim said that is the most average thing I could have done as a tourist, and I think you're right.
Of all, seriously, listeners, listen up here. Of all of the grocery store chains in all of the world, Food Lion is one of them.
That's correct.
Aaron,
anyways, that's
musically speaking. I feel like we haven't talked in more than a minute. Like, what would you add? Do you have any kind of music that you would add to the old timey episode for bicycle touring adventuring?
Well, I would get into new music if all the new music these days didn't suck.
Amen.
That's my old
This is
line
the sound of
on
all the
that.
Taylor Swift fans
That's right.
absolutely bombarding your social medias to the extent they exist
Right.
and crushing it.
I can take it. I can take it. So, shoot, I did have something to say about that.
Before you decided to
I
throw all
still-
modern music under the bus.
Fugazi. No. Okay. So, this is what I've been doing is I've been collecting CDs that I find, and then because our buses that are sold, they still have CDs. in them.
Gotcha. Like
And
leftover
then
CDs.
Because part of my job is also to cover routes that are just we can't find coverage for. So anytime I have to cover a route, I leave a CD in the CD player there.
Oh. If you need more CDs, just go to the Everyday Music on Burnside. I sold all of them there for quick cash back in the
Still
day.
open? All right.
That place has a long and storied history. They're still doing. Wait, did you say Everyday
I
Music?
believe I did, yes. I think it was
Oh,
Everyday
okay,
Music.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I was. I
Yeah.
was thinking of the other
You were
one on the
thinking
east side.
Music Millennium.
Music Millennium
Yeah.
still has like in-store performances. They are a wonderful institution. Everyday
They're
Music is
still
still there.
hanging
But
on,
I
man.
don't think
Yeah.
Everyday has ever done in stores.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
that's a great place though. That's where I have done most of my record shopping in
A
Portland.
lot of there's a place on Foster nearby where my brother lives that has tons of vinyl, and I just picked up a copy of Peter Gabriel's "So" on this trip
Ooh,
for
nice.
$10.
It's a good
It's a
one.
good quality used vinyl selection there. So Portland, Oregon.
So if I
you need
sing
your
that,
music.
will we get banned from YouTube again, or get pulled, or like digital
Probably.
lawyers will say, "Hey"? So
Yeah,
in your eyes, the light, the heat.
your eyes.
Is that enough? Is that
Shock
enough to
the monkey.
get- Yeah,
Don't you
exactly.
know?
Now it's a
Ba-ba-da,
completely different
ba-ba.
song.
This is the
It is a
sound of
different album, yeah.
millions of podcasts being turned off as I sing Peter Gabriel.
Red rain is falling.
Where
down.
is
That's
the
actually a pretty good
unsubscribe button,
Portland-based
they
bicycle
say? Tim
team.
Mooney is
Like that could.
singing.
I mean, that really is
Yeah.
red rain. And then what's the sledgehammer? I wanna be my favorite. Your sledgehammer.
Oh, that's
good
a
song.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that, like auto tune, like synth.
Yeah, that was my
you
synth. That
didn't
was
even-
me verbalizing the,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
opening synth to Sledgehammer.
What that was the Tim Mooney coin sound, both forwards and backwards.
Yes.
Don't ever use that. That's a throwback, kids.
Ah,
That's a throwback. If
I do
Good
still
call.
love my
Good
calendar,
call.
but as a retired podcaster, I don't use it anymore.
Well, I feel like this has been such a delight, such a treat. Thank you both for letting me sit in your retired podcaster's home. It has been a long time coming. Shifty the Elf, thank you so much for taking us on that sleigh ride.
Dude!
so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah.
So very much
Tim,
glad-
before you go, would you mind throwing another log on the fire? It's just, I don't, my knees don't really take it.
Well, we'll throw
Yeah,
another log
my
on the
arthritis
fire.
in my hands.
From all of us at Pedalshift, we wish you a joyous holiday season filled with unexpected adventures and pedal-powered magic. Happy holidays, everyone.
Dudes, After Show is also in your feeds if you want. Happy holidays.